Good evening, everyone. If you could please find your seats, we're going to get going. Before Rosemary gets things going, I just want to take a brief moment and say hello. I'm Dave Scott, General Manager of Civic Center TV here in West Bloomfield, and we are delighted to be broadcasting this live on 89.3 FM and on all of our Civic Center TV television outlets, Channel 15, Channel 19 on Comcast, Channel 99 on AT&T, and on YouTube, Facebook, and all the other social medias, and on our website at civiccentertv.com. I do want to remind you that we have television cameras here, so it's possible you might be on TV tonight, and Jake Schaff, one of our reporters, is walking around as well. I've got cards. If you want a copy of the video of tonight's program, come on up and get one, and we'll get your email address and fill it out. Thank you very much for your support of Civic Center TV and this great forum tonight. And cell phones, please, and again, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Welcome to this forum for the State House District 20 and West Bloomfield Township Supervisor and Trustee. Today is July 2nd, 2024. The first portion of this forum features 3 candidates who have filed for the position of representative in the Michigan State House District 20. Vote for not more than 1 for a 2-year term. The second portion of this forum features 2 candidates who have filed for a position as West Bloomfield Township Supervisor. Vote for not more than 1 for a 4-year term. The third portion of this forum features candidates who have filed for a position as West Bloomfield Township Trustee. Vote for not more than 4 for a 4-year term. The format is as follows. Candidates will be seated in alphabetical order. The State House forum takes place from 7 p.m. until 7:30 p.m. After a short break, the Supervisor forum takes place from 7:35 p.m. until 8 p.m. After a short break, the Trustee forum takes place from 8:05 p.m. until 8:45 p.m. Sponsor of this forum is the League of Women Voters, Oakland Area. I am Rosemary Allen, a member of the League of Women Voters. I am not a resident of this district. The League of Women Voters is a trusted national nonpartisan political organization. Our members do the hands-on work to safeguard democracy. While we never endorse a candidate, we are directly involved in shaping the important issues that keep our community strong. As a League of Women Voters member, I have the opportunity to contribute in a leadership role, such as this one, that has great impact on local, state, and even national issues. So if you are interested in learning about how you can make a similar impact, I would encourage you to pick up some of the League's information available here tonight or visit our website at lwvoa.org. The League of Women Voters does not endorse any candidate or political party. Views expressed in this forum are those of the candidates, and the sponsor takes no responsibility. The format for this forum has been established by the League of Women Voters. We ask that the audience remain silent during the forum. Please turn off all cell phones. We ask that candidates answer the questions with their views only and not interrupt another candidate. The questions are asked to all candidates and do not single out any one candidate. All candidates will be answering questions submitted by the audience and screened for duplication and appropriateness by Deborah Ross, Kath Masner, and Christine Allen. Our 3 pages are Bonnie Gutoff, Mike Allen, and Linda Fiskus. They will be circulating with paper and pencils for your questions. Please turn your questions into the pages. The format is as follows. All candidates will be given 1 minute for opening statements in alphabetical order. Closing statements will be 1 minute in reverse order. Candidates will have 1 minute to answer each question in rotation unless extended by the moderator. All candidates will be allowed equal time to answer questions. Our timer is Brenda Fries. The candidates for Michigan District 20 representatives are Noah Arbit, Herman Barbay, and not in attendance, Brendan Cowley. So we will begin the 1 minute opening statements with Mr. Noah Arbit, followed by Mr. Herman Barbay. You may begin. Thank you.
I'm State Representative Noah Arbit, and I ran for this office because I was sick and tired of our community being an afterthought in the policymaking conversations in Lansing. And I believe fiercely that we need to build a Michigan where every person has a chance to thrive, no matter where you come from, the color of your skin, the zip code of your home, how you worship, or who you love. And in my first term, I've been able to deliver on significant priorities of our community to help deliver on that vision, whether it's taking on rising hate crimes, addressing the issue of rising gun violence, protecting our rights and freedoms, including the right to reproductive care and the right for LGBTQ plus Michiganders to live without discrimination, or expanding access to vital mental health care for kids, seniors, and everyone in between. And I will continue to wake up every day and work my heart out for this community that I love, the community that raised me, shaped me, and made me who I am. I thank you for the honor of serving as your state representative, and I look forward to getting out in our community and earning your vote once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barbay.
Right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Herman Barbay, and I am running to be your new state representative here in House District 20. More about me and my campaign, I would like to encourage you to visit my website, which is herman2024.com. That is spelled HERMON 2024.com. I have spent the last 20 years working in the private sector in real estate and home finance. The last 10 years, I've been a solution consultant and self-employment specialist, working with my clients at the grassroots level to help them secure the dream of homeownership and the American dream. Over the last few years, however, that dream's been turning into a nightmare with higher inflation, corrupt government, dark money deals, and more. And I am stepping out and stepping in for we the people, for the grassroots. I am more so for principles and policy and truth than I am for partisan politics, backroom deals, and lobbyists. There are no strings on me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we will now begin the question segment of our forum. Most questions will have a 1 minute time limit. We will begin with Mr. Noah Arbit. And the question is, District 20 is quite diverse. How do you plan on building consensus?
Absolutely. I think it's incredibly important to represent all diverse communities in our district. You know, I think one of the issues that I have really taken a leadership position on is rising hate crimes in Michigan, protecting all of our communities from targeted violence. And I was proud, my first bill signed into law was a bill that protects houses of worship in our communities from targeted assault and vandalism. And, you know, on this part of building consensus, you know, I think it can be done. I think, you know, one of the issues that I've also been leading on as vice chair of the Behavioral Health Subcommittee in the State House is mental health. And I know that that's something, you know, even when everything else, people are, you know, bickering and fighting with each other, Republicans and Democrats, expanding access to vital mental health care is a goal that we share. And we've seen some major progress on that this term, and I'm very proud to have helped lead on a lot of that legislation.
All right. Okay. Please repeat the question.
I certainly can. The question is, District 20 is quite diverse. How do you plan on building consensus?
So I do believe that justice is blind. I believe the rule of law is written in black and white, regardless of the color of your skin, the creed that you follow, or what you may or may not identify as. But there's also ultimate truth as well. I am what you might also consider a minority. I'm not here to play a minority card. My dad came here legally from the country of Peru in South America, and he worked his butt off. And he didn't ask for a hand up, and he didn't ask for the government to help him, nor am I asking for the government either. I am looking to have blind justice rule of law that is equal under the eyes of God Almighty in this realm that we call Earth, in this great country that we love, under the Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question, Mr. Arbet. What steps will you take to work across the aisles in the House?
I've gotten to know a lot of my colleagues in the State House, and I think one of the things about being in a chamber, if folks don't know, the State House is divided, 56 Democrats and 54 Republicans, and that's a very narrow majority for the Democrats. And so a lot of the work that we have done, I would say the majority of the work that we've done has been bipartisan. The majority of bills that have been passed have been bipartisan. And so it can be difficult at times, but if you look narrowly at issues that you can find common ground on, on the Outdoor Recreation and Environment Natural Resources Committee, an issue that is obviously incredibly important to our community with our lakes here in the greater West Bloomfield area. We've actually been able to find common ground on protecting inland lakes with my colleague from downriver and a number of other colleagues that we've been working with on that issue and a number of other issues. So I think it just starts with having conversations, building trust as time goes on, and knowing that you don't always have to agree on everything to find discrete common ground.
Thank you. Do you need the question repeated?
Yeah, thank you.
Certainly. What steps will you take to work across the aisles in the House?
Yes. So the business of the government is to learn how to get along so we can work better for we the people. And at the same time, there are certain principles and procedures that should not be omitted, bypassed, and it's ultimately paramount to the success of our state, whether that is election integrity or passing a budget. I can tell you that what just happened this past week was atrocious. What happened is that our $83 billion budget was passed in less than 24 hours. I work in real estate. Did you not know that you cannot buy a house until your final numbers have been seasoned for 3 business days? So there's certain things that we need to do with consensus, yes, but at the same time, procedure needs to look out for the people and for your tax dollars and my tax dollars and your children and my children. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question, Mr. Arbet. What is your view on gun control and Michigan current laws?
Well, I was very proud that this majority has worked to address gun violence, especially after the 2 mass shootings that occurred in the state of Michigan, the first at Oxford and the second at MSU. We passed universal background checks, red flag laws, and safe storage requirements, the first gun violence prevention measures in decades in the state of Michigan. And it's my view that those policies don't go nearly far enough to addressing the issue. And the fact is, we know that gun violence has many authors, has many causes, and people don't generally just wake up and commit crimes. Poverty, unemployment, mental health, trauma, abuse, all of those things that create the circumstances for people to commit violence, we have to address them. Each of these interventions for gun violence prevention are like layers of Swiss cheese. We have to layer the interventions and create a patchwork, a network of policies in order to interrupt gun violence, and that's the work that I look forward to continue to do in the State House. We have to push forward.
Okay.
Thank you. Did you need the question repeated?
Thank you.
What is your view on gun control and Michigan current laws?
So the Second Amendment says the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. And at the same time, we are living in more of a dangerous world, obviously. So there are concessions that are being made. And it kind of feels like, to some degree, the right to be infringed is being infringed upon, to be very blunt. Common sense is not so common these days. And I can tell you, it's not going to be up to the Michigan State Legislature to keep you and your family safe. That is your responsibility. What stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question, Mr. Barbet. What is your stand on voter identification requirements?
This will be fun. So I worked in 2020 and 2022 as a poll watcher and then separately as a poll worker. I can tell you that we've got a lot of problems, and this was particular to Wayne County and the Absentee Voter Counting Board, but we need to massively overhaul and correct the election system and the security of the vote, and the security and the chain of custody of every single vote, making sure that every single vote is a legal vote and not an illegal ballot that has no business being there whatsoever. There is going to come a point, if this does continue, where we will not be able to know or trust if our elected officials really are our elected officials. Not just at the top of the ballot. What about the middle? What about the ground level, the grassroots level? Free and fair elections, yes, but we need to actually have security, correct security measures in place by people that will uphold the rule of law righteously.
Thank you. Same question, Mr. Arbit. What is your stand on voter identification requirements?
Thank you. Well, first of all, I want to reassure you, I am your elected official. I am your state representative, and I was duly elected in the 20th district 2 years ago. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, this is a red herring. Michigan law requires voter identification for voters. And the fact is that when some folks lose an election, they claim voter fraud and foul, and they blame the process and procedures. But the fact is, cases of voter fraud in the state of Michigan and across the country are 0 to 0. There is no systemic issue with regard to. I'm sorry, moderator.
I'm sorry, please, let's be very quiet while they are answering the questions. Thank you, audience.
Thank you. And with regard to the rule of law, there are indeed significant and severe threats to the rule of law right now in our country. And I think it's incredibly important that we do elect officials at every level of the ballot that are going to defend our democracy, defend the rule of law against any partisan attempts to undermine it. And the fact is that is without fear or favor. If there are Democrats who are doing things that are illegal, I will be the first person calling them out. The fact is the rule of law should be equal in this country.
Thank you. Our next question, we'll go back to you, Mr. Arbit. Inflation has hit new record highs. If elected as a state representative, what steps or actions will you take to address this issue that are affecting all of the citizens you are representing?
Yeah, I think this is an incredibly important issue, and I think one that's incredibly important to provide context for. During the COVID crisis, when you get a rug in the mail, it comes all rolled up, right? And it takes a while for it to flatten out. During the COVID crisis, we rolled up our economy for a year and a half, close to 2 years. And it's taken a while for it to come back, to flatten out. And that's the reality with inflation and significant price rises over the past couple of years. This is not a Michigan issue. This is not an America issue. This is a global issue. And so for those who want to blame the administration, the federal administration, the Biden administration for inflation, then is the Biden administration also responsible for inflation in Nigeria, in Poland, in Brazil, in India, in China? Because that's what we're seeing across the globe. And the fact is, as a state representative, we have worked to lower costs for families, passing the Working Families Tax Credit, repealing the retirement tax on seniors, working to do everything we can to put money back in people's pockets, and that's what I'll continue to do.
Okay.
Thank you. I will read the question again. Okay. For you, Mr. Bombay. Inflation has hit new record highs. If elected as a state representative, what steps or actions will you take to address this issue that are affecting all of the citizens you are representing?
So the state legislature can do a few things to help the grassroots. Lower taxes is one. Helping small businesses is another. That is the platform that I embrace. Inflation will hit everyone, some worse than others. That is personal responsibility. You and I have a personal responsibility for you've got yours, family, I've got mine, to find out what do you do in an inflationary environment? How do you reallocate your assets, your investments? Because you're going to have to weather this storm a while longer. There is light coming on the other side of the storm, But the storm's not over yet. And yes, it probably will be getting a lot worse here over the next few months. One thing I'd love to see the state legislature do, whether we're in an inflationary environment or not, is to help improve the tax situation, lower taxes, rein in big government spending, reduce the budget, reduce the taxes. Can we please have a ballot initiative to lower taxes just once, not raise them? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Barbe, this will be your question, and since it is a compounded question, we're going to give you a few extra seconds, so like a minute and a half for your response. The question is, Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bouchard has been warning our community for months about Chilean gangs that are breaking into homes in our county, and specifically this district. These gangs have been coming across our southern border to get here. Please share your convictions on the following 3 items. Number 1, the state of the border. Number 2, illegal immigrants. And 3, if elected as our state representative, what actions will you take to align with your convictions?
Yes. So number 1, the border is everywhere. Number 2, those Chilean gangs were somehow here legally. I was at the town forum with Sheriff Mike Bouchard just a couple months ago. He was sharing the facts, and you can watch that online, I do believe. What we do need is we have to be vigilant citizens. We cannot rely upon the sheriff's office, local police to save us. But yes, if you do see something, you need to say something and report it to the proper authorities. The strongest offense will be a strong defense, yes. But you also have to make sure in the state legislature that there is repercussions. If you don't want an enemy here and now, illegally, that could threaten you with your life and take your livelihood and your family away from you, well, guess what? You got to be on the offense there. The best thing, and thank God these Chilean gangs are not violent. At least we have not seen that thus far. Nonetheless, you need to protect yourself. The state legislature needs to have teeth. The state legislature needs to give the sheriff's office allocations and appropriations to give them some teeth. It'd be awesome to see Oakland County Sheriff's Department and the police departments across the state of Michigan to get some new equipment, get some better funding for them. Because ultimately, yes, they are there to serve and protect you and me. And they are there to protect us against any invaders, foreign or domestic. And ultimately, we need to help them, come alongside them, support them. And thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Arbit, would you like for me to repeat the question?
No, thanks, I got it.
Okay, thank you.
This is, I think, a state legislator's favorite question because it has nothing to do with the job that I hold or the job that he's running for. We have no province, no authority, no responsibility over the federal issue of immigration or the border. And so we get to talk about all about how Congress hasn't done its job. And that's the reality, is that for decades, bipartisan failure in Congress, Democrats and Republicans have utterly failed to enact any meaningful immigration reform, have starved the border of the necessary resources in terms of administrative judges at the border to process asylum claims, as well as cases of refugee claims, as well as the normal immigration process, expanding the H-1B visas, doing all of the work that we can to make sure, Michigan has a talent issue, right? And if we want to make sure that we are competitive, we've got a brain drain issue. I've got 2 brothers, both of whom have moved out of state, as many of my friends have from high school and from college. If we want to maintain our competitiveness as an economy, then we need to bring more skilled labor into the state of Michigan. We need to be able to attract people to Michigan. And on the issue of crime, I would just say I am not more afraid of an immigrant committing a crime against me than I am of someone who is from the United States, born and bred, of committing a crime. And that's the fact of why this question is such a red herring, because we need to be working on public safety, investing in public safety, which the Democratic Party has done in this majority to make sure that all of our communities are safe.
All right, thank you. Your question, Mr. Arbit. What's your position on separation, church and state, and prayer in the classroom?
Well, I vehemently oppose prayer in classrooms. and I vehemently support the separation of church and state, and I am deeply, deeply disturbed, distressed, and quite terrified, actually, as a matter of fact, of the growing movement in this country perpetuated by the radical right about basically taking a fundamentalist version of Christianity and mapping it onto all of our laws as the foundation of all of our laws. Just look at this Supreme Court. That is their mission, to create a theocracy in this country. And you know what? This community, the greater West Bloomfield community, is an incredibly diverse community in terms of religion and in terms of faith. We have more synagogues in this town, in West Bloomfield, than anywhere else in this state. And we have a mosque, too, in the Unity Center in this district. And the fact is, I don't know where I fit into that vision of this country. I don't know where so many people in this community fit into that vision. And so I will be a relentless advocate standing up against the proliferation of church and state merging in our state legislature, and I will continue to do that.
All right, thank you. Mr. Barbet, do you need me to repeat the question? Okay, the question is, what's your position on separating church and state and prayer in the classroom?
Yes, so the constitutional ruling allows for students to leave the public schools. This is actually something that's come up now more and more. It's gaining traction across the country. Churches have been involved, faith groups, mosques, synagogues, whatever your persuasion is, okay? Under school terms, they can leave the premises and they can have a Bible study or a Torah study or whatever you like in the middle of the day, and it's perfectly constitutionally legal, okay? I can tell you, and I'm going to quote George Washington on this, the very first day that he was sworn into office was April 30th, 1789. And he said that the propitious smiles of heaven can never be expected on a nation that disregards the eternal rules of order and right, which heaven itself has ordained. That doesn't mean that the Bible has to be taught in schools, but that doesn't mean that the kids can't pray in school or have a Bible study in school or on school time.
All right, thank you. Mr. Barbet, your question is, what is your stance on a woman's right to choose?
Yes, so a woman's right to choose starts with the woman's life in the womb, in my opinion, which is where life is. This is a sensitive issue for many Americans, for many women. And at the same time, it's an even more sensitive issue for the unborn beating heart, the unborn woman. That is our future, our children's children. I would love to see, and this is not an abortion election, by the way, but I am pro-life and I will stand by my convictions. I would absolutely love to see Michigan become a pro-life state. And that does not necessarily mean you take away the woman's right to choose, but you know what? Why can't we come along our women and help give them better options and benefits if needed to affirm life with adoption or whatever the case may be? There's no reason pro-choice has to be pro-death. It can be pro-life here in Michigan. So let's change that. Thank you.
Thank you. Audience, please remain quiet. Do you need me to repeat the question? Okay.
Not on my watch. I am pro-choice, and I believe fiercely that every woman has the right to be able to choose the timing and manner in which to expand her family. And I proudly voted not only to repeal the 1931 snapback abortion ban, but also co-sponsored the Reproductive Health Act. I believe that the fact is that the leading indicator for democratic backsliding in countries around the world, Brazil, the Philippines, Poland, historically, in the past couple of years, has been erosion in abortion rights for women. And so I'm incredibly proud that the state of Michigan has been a national leader in making sure that every woman has the right to reproductive freedom, not only enshrined in our Constitution, but enshrined into law. And so I will be a relentless, fearless backstop in making sure that not only do we have access to reproductive and sexual health care in this state, but also access to mifepristone, access to contraception, because family planning is a critical part of making sure that everyone is able to contribute to our economy. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Arbit, your question is, how do you feel about protecting our marshes, forests, and natural areas?
Thank you. As a state representative for the greater West Bloomfield area, as well as a member of the House Committee on Natural Resources, Environment, and Outdoor Recreation, this portfolio of environmental conservation is one that I take very seriously on behalf of our community. And so I very much support anything that we can do in the state as well as on the local level to protect our area's natural inheritance in the greater West Bloomfield and Commerce area. And I know that of a particular concern to our community is our inland lakes. And so we've been having conversations about, the pluses and minuses of the wake boat issue and, wanting to prevent degradation in the lake bottoms and to make sure that this community is one that people continue to want to move to and want to live in and work in. And so I obviously support conservation and support addressing climate change, which is why we passed the Michigan My Healthy Climate Plan to make sure that we are carbon neutral by 2030. Thank you.
Thank you.
2040.
Mr. Bombay?
Sure.
Okay. You want me to?
Sure.
Okay. How do you feel about protecting our marshes, forests, and natural areas?
So one of the reasons I moved to West Bloomfield about 10 years ago just happens to be the natural beauty and the landscape that we all share. That is not political, that is natural, that is God's beautiful green and lush creation. I absolutely want to protect and defend the natural beauty that we've been gifted. We need to be better stewards of creation, whether that is the lakes, whether that is our parks. My in-laws happen to live on a nature preserve. I can tell you I'm there like every weekend, just hanging out in the backyard and on the porch. I love it there, okay? So it's absolutely something that we should be better stewards of. I absolutely, once I'm elected to the State House, I look forward to working with both sides of the aisle, with the grassroots, make things even better than where we've left them, and find out for ways to improve them. If there's something that we need to discuss, absolutely, let's get that done. No reason not to, and it's for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. And our very last question on tonight, Mr. Bombay. Do you feel taxes are too high for seniors on fixed incomes? How would you help them?
So if we want to stop, one great way to stop losing population here in Michigan would be to help give an incentive to some of our senior citizens to come here. Whether that's lower taxes on anything, whether that is prescription, medication, fixed income, what have you. We need to open up doors of opportunity to show that, yes, Michigan is open for business, but we also are going to take care of our grandparents, those that came before us. And we want to make it financially advantageous for them to want to be here and stay here at the same time. If you look at states like Florida, hey, guess what? No income taxes. Why do so many people go to Florida and live there? Well, yes, it's naturally beautiful and warm, but yeah, having no income tax, that helps too, I'm just saying. So there's always options there. I would like to be working with creativity across the aisle to find that, because ultimately, no matter which side of the aisle you're on, lower taxes are going to be helping our fixed income residents here in Michigan. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Arbit, do you need the question repeated?
Thanks.
Okay.
I think anyone who's holding up Florida as a model, I immediately have some questions and some concerns. I think the reality is, and I'm going to say something that maybe not everyone in this room is going to like, but I think the reality is, and as a part of, crafting the state budget and, just knowing that people in our community and across the state continue to say that we need to invest more in fixing our damn roads. We need to have better schools in the state of Michigan. Well, the reality is politicians in Michigan have not been forthcoming and forthright with the people of Michigan for decades. The fact is we do not take in enough revenue to fund our public services at the rate that citizens continue to demand. And so I think we should bring this to a ballot of the people. Let's put a graduated income tax on the ballot and say to the people of Michigan, is it worth it to fund services at a higher level, to have better schools, to have, our schools continue to be some of the worst in the nation, and that's despite us in the Democratic majority giving the largest per pupil increase ever. So, I think that we need to have that conversation.
All right, thank you. So that concludes the time for questions for the District 20 representative candidates. The candidates will now be given 1 minute to make a closing statement in reverse order of opening statements, beginning with Mr. Herman Barbet, followed by Mr. Noah Arbit.
Yes, well, I want to say thank you, everyone, for coming out. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for having us and sponsoring this forum. I am running for elected office to be salt and light in our Michigan State Legislature, to help correct our state's government to create good laws, which will honor and respect the eternal rules of order and right, which heaven itself has ordained, to quote George Washington. I look forward to working with we the people, the grassroots, the mama bears, the papa bears, to find real solutions. I've spent the last 10 years in the financial space, the financial sector, working as a solution consultant. That's ingrained in my persona right now. This is who I am. This is what I do. And I'm stepping down from my lofty world of real estate to serve. I'm not doing this for the money. I am doing it because I know what's right, what needs to be done. We're going to get it done. My website is herman2024.com. I look forward to meeting you. Thank you all for being here, and please remember to vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Arbit?
Thank you. This is a critical election that we have coming up in November. And we have a very stark choice, not only at the federal level with the presidential election, but also in this race between a candidate who is born and raised in this community, who has been faithfully serving our community with faith and fidelity for the past year and a half, and speaking truth to power. And I think, you know, my opponent mentioned that in his opening statement. If you want someone who's going to be a party line vote all the time and not going to think critically and going to, you know, take dinners with the lobbyists and be bought and paid for, then you should not vote for me, because that is not how I've comported myself as your state representative, and that's not how I ever will comport myself as your state representative. I push back. I'm loud. I'm a troublemaker, because that's what this community deserves. This community deserves someone who will always work to find innovative common sense solutions and work to have our community's best interests at heart. This is, as I said, the community that raised me, shaped me, and made me who I am. And that's what builds my fire every day to continue working for you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
So we will now take a 5-minute break to get ready for the supervisor candidate forum portion, starting very, very soon. Thank you. Ooh.
Thank you.
Oh, you are welcome. Thank you. I hope it went well. It was great. It was fun. Let's do it again.
As we all know, Michigan weather can be very unpredictable. And when it came to the West Bloomfield Senior Independence Day lunch, it almost looked like Mother Nature was going to strike once again in the worst way possible. But the good people at West Bloomfield Parks weren't about to let that happen. And with a last-minute switch from Marshbank Park to the Connect Senior Center, the seniors were able to enjoy the festivities of Independence Day early, with no worries, and with all the fun in the world.
So we had our Independence Day picnic today, which was scheduled to be at Marshbank Park at Maple Ridge Shelter, but given the fact that it was a little bit rainy, or the potential for rain, we ended up having an indoor picnic at Connect instead. And we had 65 people enrolled, and it was great fun to have people come out. We offered a box lunch with chicken and macaroni and cheese and cookies and some entertainment. It was really fun.
How great is it that you could still have an event like this today, even with the weather circumstances?
Yeah, yesterday we were looking at the weather and saying, okay, 50% chance of rain at 10, 11, and 12. We had to make a decision and call it. We're very fortunate to have our space here that we can say, hey, come on in, we'll do an indoor picnic instead of an outdoor picnic at the park. We certainly would not have canceled. There was no way we were going to do that. So we came up with the revised Plan B, and everything worked out really well.
The recovery was nice, and it occurred indoors, and everything was excellent. The food was very good. Conversation was good. The entertainment was good. The music was very enjoyable. The sounds and the tunes were for people that are my generation, and it was enjoyed greatly.
How great is it that the event could still happen today, even with the weather circumstances?
Yeah, it's great for the seniors, especially those who can't get out that often like myself, and it it has a lot of, you can converse with other seniors and have a good time and conversation and not feel like you're isolated.
What do you hope the seniors take away from events like these?
Oh gosh, having camaraderie and time to visit, and it was really fun today. There were faces that I had not seen here before, so I know we're meeting a need, whether it's someone who is enjoying our space for the first time or coming and spending time with buddies who they enjoy spending, their afternoon with. So it's always a treat. It's always a treat.
It's a great feeling to see these events continue to grow and bring more and more of the community together. Let's hope the seniors had fun today, even with this last-minute change of plans, and let's hope they have even more fun when Independence Day rolls around next week, hopefully when the weather's a bit more manageable. For Civic Center TV, I'm Jake Schaff.
I don't think they're going to clear out in 5 minutes.
Do you all want the questions? These are
You're an inspiration.
Okay.
I mean, it's not easy doing what we do, working so hard for this community. So, bravo. You guys ready?
in about a minute.
No problem.
Supervisor and trustee. So I'm going to take these back. That you see
You would unbutton, but that's up to you. You find it.
what is that?
I don't know. I think you look either way. That looks very well. You'd probably be more comfortable, don't you think?
Yeah. So I just let you know that you're going to see these over and over.
So if I see trustee as township underneath those, if they don't say,
Yeah, you could do that.
okay, so these, all right. But trustee, I have them down as supervisor. Is the supervisor can the same as?
The supervisor is the person who is the head of the board of
Trustees,
trustees.
I see.
So
Okay.
that's why they're all one big group.
Okay.
But running for supervisor would be the head honcho.
I'm all ready. You all ready?
We're ready.
Okay, I'm going to get people seated and we'll go. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get the program going again, so if you find your seats.
Actually, you know,
Yeah, sit right in there.
You got it.
For me?
are for both, so you can
Okay.
just keep them.
Just got to get us on.
Okay, okay. And you guys have already went through them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, then you want to go, you don't want to go there, you want to look at the
camera audience.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you can find your seats, we're going to get going again. I'm Dave Scott from Civic Center TV, and we are broadcasting live now. And again, we'll be broadcasting all evening long, and also this will be available for you in replay on civiccenter.com, Channel 15, Channel 19 on AT&T, and Comcast and Channel 99 on AT&T. Thank you very much for watching tonight. I want to remind you one final time before we get going, this is a live broadcast on TV, so just want to make sure you're all aware of that. Thank you very much.
Everyone, if you can please take your seats.
We'd like to get started. Everyone sit down, please.
Please take your seats so that we can get started. All right, we are now starting portion number 2, our second portion, which is our supervisor candidates, and they are Mr. David Fleischer and Mr. Stephen Kaplan. So once again, we will begin the 1-minute opening statement with Mr. David Fleischer, followed by Mr. Stephen Kaplan. You may begin your opening statement.
Good evening, West Bloomfield. My name is David Fleischer. I'm a candidate for West Bloomfield Township Supervisor. Thank you for attending. Thank you, League of Women Voters. I'm a 36-year resident of West Bloomfield, a graduate of Wayne State University, a former licensed CPA and currently registered CPA. I am the former West Bloomfield Township Supervisor. My terms were from 2000 to 2008. I'm very proud of my accomplishments during those times. I believe that we need a change in leadership today. That's why I'm running. I'm asking you for your vote in the August 6th primary.
Thank you, Mr. Kaplan.
My wife and I have lived in West Bloomfield for 29 years, and we have 2 daughters who attended public schools, and they did very well. My wife and my 2 daughters are social workers, and I think that works out well for me because I need their help. I have served on this township board for, this is my 20th year, and it's a real honor to contribute to the community. And you'll hear various positions of mine and of the townships during the question and answer format. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now begin the question segment of our forum. Most questions will have a 1-minute time limit. We will begin with Mr. David Fleischer. And that question is, how can you implement moving forward with updating our master plan? This is a key document allowing for citizen input and should be updated every 5 years. The current is 2010.
You're correct. It is supposed to be updated every 5 years. While I was township supervisor, we did do that. What I think the master plan can be used for is to attract the types of businesses and types of housing that we want. If I'm elected, I'll work closely with the resources that are available, such as Oakland County Planning Division, SEMCOG, the governor's office. The state's spending a lot of money trying to bring people and businesses to Michigan, and I would collaborate with them. And I would always make sure that our master plan is current.
Thank you. Same question, Mr. Kaplan. Do you
Our
need me?
township has formed a committee of public and private regarding the master plan. The master plan has been very helpful to West Bloomfield. Now, we don't have a downtown like Birmingham, Ferndale, and Royal Oak, and we never will. But most people would agree that the area on Orchard Lake Road between 14 Mile and Maple has been substantially improved. It's attractive. There are new businesses. There's walking areas, there are mementos, and I think we can continue doing well with our master plan. We have fabulous staff in West Bloomfield. We're able to hire good people and keep them, and those individuals are pivotal in our master plan preparation and adoption.
Thank you. Mr. Kaplan, list your accomplishments in terms of protecting the environment and addressing climate change on behalf of West Bloomfield.
So the township has an environmental board consisting of 7 residents, and these individuals are fabulous. They're great additions, and they vote on various matters. We're known, if anything, West Bloomfield is criticized, at least among the 7 board members, for being too tough or rigorous when it comes to protecting the environment. But we have, as many know, we have 28 lakes in West Bloomfield. That's the second most in the United States. We have all kinds of wetlands, 5,000 different ponds and other waterways. And many people move to West Bloomfield or stay in West Bloomfield because they really appreciate the environmental treasures.
Thank you. Mr. Fleischer, same question. Do you need me to repeat it?
No, thank you.
Okay.
I'm very proud of my record as the supervisor. I'm very strong on environmental protection. One of the laws we passed was our fertilizer law, restricting how close you could put fertilizer to a lake. I believe my opponent also voted for that as well. I'm very proud of the fact that I instituted hazardous material collection days in 2001. We have kept hundreds of tons of chemicals and other contaminants out of landfills and out of our waterways. If I'm elected, I will be extremely strong. Global warming is real, and not that what we do here is going to solve it, but we can do our part. I just will reiterate, I'm very strong on environmental protection.
Thank you. Mr. Fleischer, how would you work to reduce the amount of trash households produce and increase recycling, not just at the curbside, but actual recycling? Statistically, most items put into recycle bins are not recycled.
Well, for one thing, styrofoam is not recyclable, and that's one of the longest lasting types of waste material. It never disintegrates. And currently, the only place to recycle styrofoam is in Troy at the soccer yard. I'd like to see more yards like that. There's also a yard in Novi. If you don't put your recycling in the curbside bin, you can take it there. But I'd like to see a recycling yard closer to us that takes styrofoam, takes everything. Possibly the public has been backsliding. I know we were strong on recycling for a long time. Maybe some education through this TV station, through the township, to get people to start recycling more. And to be sure that whoever our garbage company is isn't mixing the garbage in with the recycle.
Thank you. Mr. Kaplan, same question.
West Bloomfield Township is proud to feature and sponsor 4 events per year on Saturday mornings and Friday nights. We've separated the 2 events we have. These events, Fridays from 4 to 6, Saturday from 9 to noon. And we do take the recycling there. We take the paint cans, and we have many volunteers who help it with that. Now, one of the contributions I think the Township Board has made to the community, and I know we have several board members here who voted for it, is we now have a company called EMG. It's in Livonia on Schoolcraft and Merriman, and you could take your recyclables there at any time. And I forgot the other word. It was shredding. Shredding and recycling. My apologies. Couldn't come up with that word. Two separate shredding events. But for no cost to the township residents, they can, as many times as they want, they can take their recycling to EMG. This has helped the community, and well, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kaplan, would you work toward banning gas leaf blowers, which create noise and air pollution?
You raise an interesting question because this topic arose 2 days ago when Belinda Friss, who is a resident of West Bloomfield and served on our environmental commission and is a real activist, she proposed that. She sent a letter to all of us and she said, what about the noise? What about the gas? And it's a very difficult matter to legislate because let's say we set a limit of 80 decibels. Well, right now that is the maximum. Hard to enforce because do we want police officers visiting areas with these counters to determine the level of noise? But that's something the board will look at, and it just shows that we are receptive at the township board level to ideas advanced by our residents. We don't have all the answers. We don't know everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fleischer, same question.
Banning the leaf blowers?
Yes, would you work toward banning gas leaf blowers, which create noise and air pollution?
I would want more information and input from the citizens, possibly even hold an open house. We used to have open houses on all kinds of different issues, but I would want to know what the people think, just as there's as many as there are that want them banned, there are people that don't want them banned. I think ultimately it's going to be banned as the air quality and global warming gets worse. But my answer is I'd need more information before I could decide.
All right, thank you. Mr. Fleischer, what kind of legislation would you like to write for our city?
Well, one of the things I'd like to do is there was an additional millage was passed in 2011, about 2.25 mils. When the township fund balance was running out, the town hall employees were on 4 days a week. It was after the recession, all the foreclosures and bankruptcies. There was this additional supplemental millage was passed. It was supposed to be 10 years, one time only. After 8 years, it got folded in with another millage and renewed for 10 more years. I would like to repeal that supplemental millage. It's not needed. We have an extremely large fund balance, and I have the audit here, but I'm out of time to read from it. I would like to repeal that 2.25 mils.
Thank you. Mr. Kaplan, same question.
An example of an ordinance amendment, at the next meeting, July 15, we'll have an emergency matter on the agenda, and that has to do with tents. Can the township legislate against people sleeping, say, at town hall, outside town hall? With the Maccabi games coming up, there's a real concern that this is not against homeless people, this is not against poor people, this is not against mentally ill people, but can we, as a township, enforce rules if people are sleeping in front of the athletes and near the athletes? And so we have an emergency matter, and we might pass it. Now, we've tightened our environmental ordinances. I mean, we're a township. We're not a state where we have all kinds of power. We're very limited in terms of what we can do as a township because we're creatures of the legislature. But I can assure you that the township board does take seriously any opportunity it has through local legislation to improve the community.
Thank you. Mr. Kaplan, what is your vision for the West Bloomfield of the future?
Well, right now, we have a wonderful community. It's one of the best communities in the world in terms of our environmental features, in terms of affordable homes, livability, opportunity to find homes to stay here, and we're very fortunate. So I would say we're doing very well. It hasn't arisen yet, but in terms of public safety, it's one of the safest communities, and it's very important to the residents to know that within 4 minutes of calling 911, you will have a police officer and or firefighters at your door. So can we improve as a township? For sure. No township is perfect. Can the township board do better? Of course we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fleischer, same question.
Yes, two visions. One is what we physically want the township to be, what kind of buildings we want, what kind of homes, what types of businesses, what amenities. And as I stated in an earlier question, I would work with our partners, the county, the state, SEMCOG, to bring in what the people want. I'd have open houses. But the other vision is the kind of community we are as people. We are a multicultural township. We're very diverse. We have mostly have respect for each other. I'd like to keep it that way. We have a diversity task force. We have a clergy association. We have a lot of good things going on amongst ourselves and different types of people, and I would like to keep it that way and do whatever a supervisor can do to keep it that way.
Thank you. Mr. Fleischer, why are you the best person for this position?
I have the experience, I have the track record, I have a lot of enthusiasm, energy, I have extremely high ethics, and I'm very hardworking. I've accomplished a lot in my first 2 terms. Using the millage that the people gave us, we completed miles of bike paths, and using the millage the people gave us, we completed Fire Station Building 5 on Maple near Middle Belt. I guess I like to say I get things done, and I'm very conscientious of the people's opinions. I listen to the people. I hear what they say.
Thank you. Mr. Kaplan?
Experience is essential. I've served 28 years as an elected official, having been elected 7 times, 8 years as a school board member, 12 years as a township trustee, 8 years as township supervisor. But I have a legal background, which is important to the community. Mr. Warshay, a trustee, also is a lawyer, but these issues arise where having another lawyer review it or understand it is important. But I've served for 26 years as an assistant prosecuting attorney, including 12 years in the homicide division, and in doing so, I help protect the public.
Thank you. Mr. Kaplan, how will you support the schools and children's programs?
Separate form of government, elected school board. We as township board members should not be intervening. Sure, we can offer advice. Sometimes they come to us. Sometimes we have joint programs. We have a fabulous school board. We're very lucky to have the 7 board members we do. And the superintendent, Dr. Bazzi, brought here from Ferndale. She's very innovative. But of course the township is interested in the schools doing well. If the schools are doing well, that means more people will want to live here or not move away from here. And we'll do whatever we can at the township board to help the schools.
Thank you. Mr. Fleischer, how will you support the schools and children's programs?
I'm involved in those programs right now. I've been a volunteer with West Bloomfield Youth Assistance and the West Bloomfield Community Coalition since about 2001. And those are programs to assist children. It is correct that we are separate. The township government is separate from the schools. However, we provide police protection to the schools. There are police officers permanently assigned to the schools, so we cooperate with them in that way. Schools, by state law, don't have to follow some of our township laws, like they don't have to come to the Planning Commission to get things approved. But we hope to have a collaborative relationship where they will consult with us and we are able to work together with them on buildings and other things like that, possibly share costs of expenses.
All right, thank you. Mr. Fleischer, my apologies. How would you work to keep a balanced budget?
I come from, prior to my government service, I come from the finance area of manufacturing. I was involved in metal stamping business, and I came up with the cost rates, the machine rates that were used in pricing the products. I'm budgeting and finance is just in my blood. I was very involved at the budgets every year in West Bloomfield. The way the process works is the budget director calls in every department head. They put down what they want, what they hope for, and then it gets whittled down to what we can afford. And I was involved in all those very closely. If I don't do anything else, I keep an eye on the budget, and I'm very protective of the people's funds and a good fiduciary of the people's funds.
Thank you. Mr. Kaplan, same question.
In my 19 and a half years serving the public on the township board, we always have adopted balanced budgets. In fact, it's so important to us to have the best budget director we can find. We poached Allison Brohe from Florida as our budget director. Now, our budget, it's balanced, of course, but we have a fund equity balance, rainy day fund, 45%, one of the highest in the United States. What does that mean to the public? It means if something goes awry, if suddenly there are costs that are needed to be paid for, we have the money there because we've been careful stewards. Same with the water utilities department. We have sufficient funds set aside. In terms of our pensions, of course, are only provided now to police and fire and public safety, but we have some employees who were here before 2002, and those payments or those funds are there, 90% funded, so West Bloomfield residents do not have to worry that we're going to suddenly go into receivership or have to reduce staff.
Thank you, Mr. Kaplan. Mr. Flazier, same question. Do you need me to repeat it?
Please.
Thank you. The roads in West Bloomfield are a patchwork of public and private roads with many falling apart. What can the townships do to help the communities improve their roads?
I think as everybody watching knows, townships don't take care of the streets. We're under the road commission, and I'm not putting them down. They're stretched thin, but they get to us when they get to us. The option of changing to a city comes up sometimes, and there's upsides and downsides to that. The biggest downside is we would have higher taxes. But we do have another option. As a township of over 50,000, we do have the ability to take over our streets and still be a township. The only township in the whole state that does that is Bloomfield. And while I was supervisor, I spoke to their supervisor. He said they will never go back to the county since they took over their streets. So that would depend on the people. It would take a vote of the people, and it's an option. We'd get better and faster service, but it would cost us.
Thank you so much. And Mr. Kaplan?
As township supervisor, I care about what the public believes, what they wish, and I'm available. I'm there every day at my office, 7:30 to 5:30 at least, and I take phone calls, and among those phone calls there's a pothole in front of my house. It's in the street. It's a huge pothole. It's so big a person can fall in and die. What are you going to do about it? I could take the position, it's to call the road commission, but no. We've developed a good relationship with the road commission, so I can call the director, Dennis Kolar, and say, Dennis, help us out with this pothole. And literally, there are over 100 potholes have been filled because we made the effort to do that. Now, in terms of other issues on the roads, as township supervisor with the board's support, we were able to pave 3 roads, Green Road, Greer Road, and Pine Lake Road, who otherwise would not have been paved for the reasons that Mr. Fleischer said, because they're connector roads, we had those roads resurfaced, and they look really good, and the residents appreciate it.
Thank you very much. So that concludes the time for questions for the supervisor candidates. The candidates will now be given 1 minute to make a closing statement in reverse order of opening statements, beginning with Mr. Stephen Kaplan.
I am honored to serve as your township supervisor. I view it as a privilege and an honor and not a right. And in the past 7 years and 8 months, I believe I've worked hard. I'll continue to work hard. I'm a community-oriented person. I'm very positive. I'm involved in the hiring. We hire good people with good attitudes, and we've increased minority representation in terms of our employees, and we're very proud of that. We are a melting pot community, and our staff should reflect that. And in closing, I would say that whether you vote for me or Mr. Fleischer, I think you'll be well served. I worked with Mr. Fleischer for 4 years on the board and enjoyed that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fleischer?
Again, I'm David Fleischer. I'm running for Township Supervisor in the August 6th primary. As Mr. Kaplan said, I was also proud and honored to be your supervisor for 8 years. I believe I have the training, the knowledge, the experience, the compassion, and the desire and the energy to serve the people well, to make a positive contribution to West Bloomfield government, as well as the township itself. I'm asking for your vote on August 6th.
Thank you, candidates. We will now take a 5-minute break to get ready for the trustee candidate forum portion, starting very, very soon. Okay.
Yes, it is very much.
It is.
Thank you.
It is. And as soon as I did it, I knew it. I said, oh, I was supposed to be in the reverse.
I know, and I can tell by the look on your face.
Yeah.
Kevin, people also in a rage about pickleball in our community. It is the biggest thing in town on the sports side, one of the largest growing sports and activities across our community. And a new location is on its way in West Bloomfield Township and making headway as we speak. We sent our reporter, Jake Schaff, out to that location for the latest update. Jake.
Hey, Kevin, good morning. Yes, I am right here outside of Pickle Rage in West Bloomfield, right off of Orchard Lake Road. And yes, a lot of great developments are happening right as we speak. You've seen the outside of the building. You've seen the work that's been done on the inside. And now the most important part of Pickle Rage is about to be set. The fields and the courts are currently being installed. Pickle Rage West Bloomfield is going to have not 1, not 2, but 9 joint-friendly Cushion X courts aiming to provide non-skid action to help you make those quick moves that you need to compete properly in all of your pickleball games. Lots of fun, and it won't be long until these courts are open and you can see the Rage for yourself.
Yeah, that is true. They are already taking on new members, Jake, as we speak. In fact, they have a VIP party coming up July 18th. That is only for those that are early bird members who are joining right as we speak. So, Jake, you're outside. It looks great on that location. From what you've been able to observe from outside, maybe even taking a peek inside as they're doing some of that work, what do you think of it so far? How is it coming along?
I think that progress is coming along great. I think this is going to be a great addition to the community. Granted, I don't know a lot about pickleball myself. I've never played it, but I think I might check this place out, maybe take up a little hobby. It seems like a lot of fun, and I think the community is going to have a blast. Yes, the party is on July 18th, and spots are filling up very, very fast. So if you want a spot, make sure you register.
That's the only way you're going to be able to go one-on-one against Jake Schaff from the Splash Live is at Pickle Rage in West Bloomfield. He's all set and ready for it. Jake, thank you.
Okay, so the trustees would write what kind of, they would do legislation.
Maybe you could say, what kind of legislation would you like to see written? They would write down.
Right.
Would you like to have them change it?
Yeah. I have a little difficulty understanding. Is it okay if I move closer to the moderator? Good. That's fine. I can hear, but just ask her to speak into the.
Okay.
Oh, that's the one that you have the statement for. So.
No, it should have been 6 people. Should have been 6.
Right. But
Yeah.
You only have one sentence.
Right, I got one statement. Now, who is actually here? Okay. Okay. Okay, and Warshaw. Okay. Ooh, Lord have mercy. Jim Manor. And I'll read his statement right before we do.
After they read theirs, then you
Okay, after they say their statement.
after they read their opening statements, you read
Okay.
this one from him.
Okay, from him. It's a guy. Vincent.
Ready to start?
Yes, we should. We should go ahead.
There's a star on the Price is Right.
Hear what I was telling them. Just a reminder.
I just made up stuff to tell them.
The moderator's over there, but the audience is here.
Right.
You want to look forward.
Yeah.
There and there. It's amazing how many.
Say it by word, but we don't know what it is.
Right.
Let's see if Christine has something.
Thank you, Christine. Every time I look over there, like, give me a
That's
sign or
not on
something.
my script. I can probably.
There you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get going once again. Again, a quick reminder, Dave Scott from Civic Center TV. Tonight's
There's only 3 of us.
forums are broadcast live. We are live right now at 89.3 Lakes FM, Civic Center TV, channel 15, Civic Center TV, channel 19, and number 99 on AT&T, and all across the web and social media. We hope you tune in after tonight's broadcast to watch this. And if I've got cards in the back of the room, if you'd like to sign up, we'd be delighted to send you an email. Thank you very much for tuning in to Civic Center TV, and thank you very much for watching this forum. Again, a reminder, we have cameras here you may be seen on television tonight, and please turn off your cell phones. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So now we are at the last portion of our forums on this evening, which are the trustee candidates. The trustee candidates are Deepak Digay, Jim Manna, and Jonathan Warshay. Not present is Vincent Kirkwood, Diane Swimmer, and James Rosenthal. So we will begin the 1-minute opening statements with Mr. Deepak Digay, followed by Mr. Jim Manna and Jonathan Warshay. And after they have given their opening statements, I have been provided with a written statement for Mr. Vincent Kirkwood, who is not present. So gentlemen, please start your opening statement with Mr. Deepak Digay.
Thank you, the League of Women Voters and the attendees. My name is Deepak Digay, and a first-generation immigrant, 55 years ago, came to Ann Arbor, graduated, and worked mostly in the automotive field and the defense industry. Last 40 years, I've been with General Motors, Michelin Tire Company, and other Tier 1 companies, and then migrated into global outsourcing field, working on IT as well as engineering services for the benefit of the U.S. companies. I'm a resident of West Bloomfield Township for the last 12 years. After migrating from Troy to Novi and then downsizing my family because of my family issue, I migrated to West Bloomfield Township. The primary reason why am I seeking this position of a trustee is because in my investigation and the input from the employees, I have found systemic racism in the West Bloomfield Township management.
Thank
and
you.
also later on,
Thank you.
I'm sorry?
Thank you. Your time is up.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, the timer. You have to
Oh, I
watch the
didn't-
timer. Okay.
Thank you.
I figured that. Thank you very much. And so now we will hear from Mr. Jim Manna.
Honored guests and residents that I work for, thank you, League of Women Voters, for putting this forum together. I've been serving you, this community, since 2009, first as planning commissioner, and then as trustee, where I was first elected in 2016, and then re-elected in 2020. I'm running to continue to help by listening to your concerns and issues and helping find solutions that can come out with a win-win scenario. I've represented you to enhance and grow West Bloomfield as a welcoming multicultural community. West Bloomfield is a prime example of the American melting pot with all of the beautiful cultures that we have to flourish in this township. There are 4 issues that I want to speak about: senior citizens, safe communities, budget surpluses, and road and bridge improvements. As to senior citizens, it's important for West Bloomfield to be a community for life. I've supported and will continue to support aging in place, affordable housing, and the senior community center, which is on your ballot this election. Safest communities. I will continue to work to achieve our status as one of Michigan's safest communities by always funding and supporting our men and women in blue and supporting local crime prevention in different subdivisions.
Thank
Budget
you.
surplus. We have one of the
Thank you.
All right. Sorry. Sorry, everybody.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jonathan Warshay.
Good evening. My name's Jonathan Warshay. I am currently your trustee, and I'm running for re-election because I believe local government has the greatest impact on everyone's lives, and I want to make a difference at that level. As a member of the Planning Commission, I've strived to allow reasonable development that does not harm our precious lakes and woodlands. I've worked to address traffic issues, both where there is new development as well as in general. I've worked with the Cable Commission to find revenue sources as cord cutting has reduced its revenues. I have an extensive experience as an IT consultant in the public and private sector, including a stint with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. As an attorney for Lakeshore Legal Aid, I helped many people, including representing Oakland County seniors. I've been involved in community organizations such as chair of the West Bloomfield Lakes Area Democrats, co-chair of United We Walk, with the Friendship Circle, and have been a past vice president of the West Bloomfield Optimists. I have a law degree, an MBA, and a bachelor's in economics. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now I will read the opening statement submitted for Vincent Kirkwood in his absence, and it reads, Vincent Kirkwood is a parent, husband, public servant, and a problem solver with a record of putting West Bloomfield residents first. Vincent has delivered results as a Parks and Rec Commissioner and founder and chair of the West Bloomfield Diversity Task Force, showing up, listening to residents, and improving quality of life. Committed to making a positive impact in the community, Vincent is running for West Bloomfield trustee to build a stronger, safer, more inclusive West Bloomfield Township for all. Our West Bloomfield community needs call for a comprehensive approach to address West Bloomfield Township priorities: community engagement, environmental sustainability, infrastructure and public services, public safety and well-being, diversity, equity and inclusion, fiscal responsibility, and accountability. Thank you. All right. And with that being said, we will now begin the question segment of our forum. Most questions will have a 1-minute time limit. And some of the questions are somewhat repetitive from the last portion when we talked about the supervisors' candidates. So you may hear it again, but we're getting a different perspective from their point of view. So one of the questions is, we will go in, we will take the questions. We will start with Mr. Deepak Digay.
Yes.
What is the job of a trustee?
In my judgment, the trustees are the real controllers watchdog agency over the management. They have to make sure that the management is behaving responsibly, follow the law as stated in the Code of Covenants. They should follow the state law, even though we're a township, and they should certainly follow the federal law. Discrimination, nepotism should not be allowed. Every purchase item should have multiple quotes as required, not just because you like this company, you bring it to the trustees board and approve. Yeah. This is not how you run a business. The township should be run as a corporate business. Follow the laws. Simply follow the laws.
Thank you very much. Mr. Manor, same question.
The first time I was elected, I own a real estate company for the last 36 years. I've been a realtor and broker. And people asked, are you getting out of real estate now that you're a trustee? I said, well, we make $4,000 a year, so I don't think so. But anyway, my job as a trustee is to serve you, the residents of West Bloomfield Township. That's my job. I'm trying to get a key to the big house not Michigan, the big house, the bigger one. But anyway, that's what I'm trying to do. So trustee is one of the 7 elected officials for West Bloomfield Township. We're in charge of the annual budget. We're in charge of hiring and firing, police, fire, everything else. But most of all, just to support you and be there for you to answer your questions, answer your concerns, and as your elected officials.
Thank you. Mr. Warshay?
Thank you. So similar to what Mr. Manna said, we vote on the budget. We approve personnel decisions. We appoint people to various committees and commissions. And we enact ordinances, and those are our duties as trustees. There are 4 trustees and 3 full-time elected officials. The purpose of that is that the trustees are to represent the people's interests rather than be regular employees of the township, the way the managers are. So we're there to oversee what is happening. We get with every meeting, we get a list of all the expenditures, whether they're credit card or other ways. So it's our job to go through everything to make sure things are as they should be.
Thank you. Mr. Warshay, what kind of legislation would you like to see written for our city?
Well, as was stated in the earlier debate, townships are somewhat restricted in what we can enact. We have to do what the state allows us to do. So one thing I would like to see done is perhaps in terms of changing some of the departments, bringing in perhaps a marketing communications person to have weekly or biweekly emails with the residents, anyone who wants to sign up. Not to spam you, but if you want to sign up, we'll say, hey, don't forget garbage is a day later this week because we had a holiday. You wouldn't believe how many people still put it out, on the day after Christmas. So things like that. I think I'd also like to work a little, keep working with the library and the Parks and Recreation Board. I think we do a great job there.
Thank you. Mr. Manna, same question. Do you need me to repeat it?
No,
Okay.
thank you. Reduction in taxes, as was stated earlier, we have one of the largest budget surpluses in the history of this township. And second, I'd love to enact some type of ordinance where we can have a walking path or a sidewalk every part of this township. It's one of the saddest parts to me that we don't have a walking path everywhere. So I wish we had a walking path or sidewalks in every square inch of this township. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. DeGay, do you need me to repeat the question?
Yes, no, that's fine.
Okay.
As far as the legislation, I want to first get the house in order. The Board of Trustees, there are 3 that are appointed. Just the city employees at the high level who have a financial control, the management control. I think, in my view, it is illegal. They are the ones that are approving their own behavior, and it should not be there. Purchasing, employment, equal employment opportunities, promotional aspect, that should be done by the trustees and not the employee, the 3 employees that are sitting as trustees. So that's my number 1 priority. In the environmental thing, I want to see recycling centers like Nova and Troy. We have enough room to have the bins set up and let people do their own sorting of the recyclable material.
Thank you. Mr. DeGay, how would you work to help make sure the budget is balanced?
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
How would you work to help make sure the budget is balanced?
The budget is balanced by controlling your expenditures, number 1. Something going wrong, in my view, in purchasing activity, no control there. You got to get that. That's your biggest expense. I'm sorry?
The library's
Oh, no,
closed.
no.
What?
The library's
It's just an
closing.
announcement.
Okay, can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah, hold on one second.
The budgeting,
Yes. Just hold on one
Okay.
second.
okay, budgeting or the balancing of the budget has to start with the expenditure. Your business management should be done by the expert consultants. You need a committee of expert CEOs or retired corporate employees to see if our business process is correct. You got to have a committee to monitor purchasing activity. You got to have a committee to monitor employment opportunity. Once you have those under control, your budget will be balanced. You will not have to increase the taxes. Somewhere down the one, in my judgment, there is a money drain. It must be stopped.
All right, thank you. Mr. Manna?
As citizens, we're all required to live within a budget. Everybody has different types of employments or professions, and everybody makes different amounts of funds that they're required to themselves to live within a budget. The township should be no different, or all branches of government should be run that way. But so we have a budget that we have to live with, and that's what we should be working on every year to make sure that it's balanced. And we're in one of the richest townships in the state of Michigan. So I don't see where that's going to be a challenge. The last time we had a challenge like that was in the crash of 2008, 2009, where a millage was passed by you, the residents. So barring that, I don't see us ever having an issue with meeting our budgets.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Warshay?
So the township's required to have a balanced budget. The only way it can spend more than it takes in is if there's a fund balance. If there is no fund balance, then we're not allowed to borrow, do deficit spending the way the federal government can. We don't print our own money. We recently had our audit from the auditors, and we had one of the best, we had the best rating you possibly could get as a township. What does that mean besides a gold star? It means we pay lower interest rates for when we do borrow. So we borrowed to fund the police station renovations rather than just take it out of our fund balance. That way we have more money for the rainy day when we need it, and we could take advantage of the low interest rates that our high credit rating gave us.
All right, thank you. Mr. Manna?
Yes.
What is your vision for the West Bloomfield of the future?
To see flying cars everywhere. No. Again, I think, I'm so proud to live in West Bloomfield Township. I have 11 grandchildren that go to schools here, and, well, a couple of them not yet. They're not old enough yet. But anyway, I'm very proud of our township. The future that I'd like to see in our township is, again, the walking paths, the sidewalks everywhere, and to continue to be one of the greatest melting pots in Michigan.
Thank you. Mr. Warshay, same question.
So I think we could use a more diverse and stable tax base through responsible economic development. I would support ordinance and code changes to help large and small businesses either to move into or expand in West Bloomfield without damaging the township's natural beauty. We need boards and commissions to reflect the diversity of West Bloomfield. Diversity allows all constituent voices to be heard and provides for better decision-making. That's why I'm running with Vincent Kirkwood and Diane Rosenfeld-Swimmer. Our election will make the township board more diverse.
Thank you. Mr. DeGay, same question. What is your vision for the West Bloomfield of the future?
I want to see West Bloomfield in future of real inclusion, diversity, not just talk. Today, the employment, I'm 22 when I did the research based on the Freedom of Information Act, 3% employment of people of color when their population is 30%. In purchasing activity, I saw nepotism, one ethnic group diverting thousands of dollars of business to that ethnic group. Without competitive codes, I want to see that stopped, and that only can be done by review of the code of conduct, getting experts to check the business processes, and trustees being responsible to see everything is done right, not just supervisor bringing something to them, and the supervisor himself is approving and everybody approves. That is what I've observed for last 3 years. It is pathetic.
Thank you. Mr. Warshay, why are you the best person for this position of trustee?
Well, I've been endorsed by different groups, Femmes for Democracy, as well as the Greater Metropolitan Association of Realtors. So there are a couple different sides of the spectrum. I'm very interested in in addressing the issues for quality of life for our residents, such as public safety, lakes, woodlands, roads, traffic. We have to work within the township, but also other agencies such as the Road Commission, because as it's been said earlier, we don't own our roads, so we have to rely on working with them. Working with community groups, working with other agencies. I'm work in a very cooperative fashion, and that's fine. And so I think a collaborative style that I have, it would be very helpful to serve the residents.
Thank you. Mr. Manna, same question. Why are you the best person for this position of trustee?
Well, I'm not. There's 4 of us, first of all. So I'm one of 4 that'll be elected to this township. And I believe in a servant attitude. I'm here to serve. I'm here to help people out, to give back for all the blessings that I've received in my life. And I'm proud to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. DeGay, why are you the best person for the position of trustee?
Because I feel I'm qualified to run a business. I was the engineering manager, I was a CEO, I was an MBA, and ran the businesses. I know how to run the business, and the township should be run as a business. No favoritism, no illegal purchases, no discrimination against the people of color. That has to stop. It should be a township of inclusion. Even though we are a township, we must follow the state law, we must follow the federal law, the police department has to follow the state law. No searching, illegal searching of color people, pulling them out of the car and having to put the hands up and searching. That is illegal in the state of Michigan. It is illegal federally, and township must follow all those rules.
Thank you. Mr. DeGay, can you list some of your accomplishments in terms of protecting the environment and addressing climate change on behalf of West Bloomfield?
Repeat the question.
Sure. List your accomplishments in terms of protecting the environment and addressing climate change on behalf of West Bloomfield.
My experience as a general mode of safety, I was responsible for removal of asbestos from the general motor products, but also I was an advocate on asbestos board to get rid of mining and importation and exportation of asbestos. I was also responsible for automotive safety products such as side impact airbags, anti-lock braking systems. In environment, I'm fully supportive of recycling. I'm fully supportive of disposing oil waste, and all of the products that has to be disposed chemically. I'm fully endorsing plasma incineration of municipal solid waste, absolutely clean disposal. But because of the garbage collection is controlled, we cannot get into the plasma technology. We create mountains of garbage and fill the mine holes rather than disposing it cleanly.
Thank you. Mr. Warshay, same question.
Sure. So as a planning commissioner, I've supported the environmental board's recommendations and decisions when we've made recommendations and decisions on site plans and developments. As a board member, I've upheld the Environmental Commission when there have been appeals to the from the Environmental Board to the Board of Trustees. I also supported the enactment of an ordinance that used a environmentally friendly driveway sealant instead of the one that had been used. One of our residents had done some research and petitioned the board to do that, and we enacted it. So that's it. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Audience, please keep quiet. Thank you. Mr. Manna.
Yeah, on an annual basis, I attend all 4 of the recycling events that we do in West Bloomfield Township as a volunteer, and I'm glad to help. I believe in environmental conservation, and I would never leave West Bloomfield for that reason. We're one of the most environmentally sound townships in the entire state of Michigan, and I'm proud of that. Furthermore, I live on a lake, and if it was up to my wife, all the trees and bushes and everything would be gone, so I fight her every day on that, so I'm doing my part.
Thank you. Mr. Warshay, how can you implement moving forward with updating the master plan, or at least assisting in it? This is a key document allowing for citizen input and should be updated every 5 years. The most recent one was updated in 2010.
So we're actually forming a committee. The supervisor asked me to be on it because I am also on the planning commission as well. So we're actually moving forward with that as we speak. So it will be reviewed and then submitted for approval. So it's in process now. I don't think there's much more I can say about that.
All right, thank you. Mr. DeGay, do you need me to repeat the question?
No, that's okay. In the planning, correct?
Moving forward with updating the master plan.
Yeah, I want to see the master plan include affordable housing. I want to see the master plan address the need of the seniors. That is number one. We don't want to attract, I am not a proponent of attracting industry. I would rather see taking care of the people. The tax revenue is enough. People are paying taxes, and we're managing the budget. We don't need industry that's going to pollute something. So master plan should address need of the people. It should address roads. Even though some subdivisions cannot afford to repair the road, the township should be able to repair that road. We should accommodate for that because seniors don't have the money to repair the road. So that will be my focus in planning.
All right, thank you. Mr. Manna?
The Planning Commission, of which I sat on several years ago, is responsible for making any changes to our master plans. The changes that are made are very, very minute. The reason for that is the township's built out. You have approximately 68,000 residents, so everything's pretty much done. There's very minute changes the Planning Commission does. Once they do that, goes to the board, final approval. The affordable housing that he brought up is a phenomenal idea. We wasted $30,000 that any realtor could have done for free by hiring a company to do a study in Lansing years ago that came back and said, We need affordable housing in West Bloomfield. Yeah, great. Find a developer that's going to buy a piece of land for millions of dollars or whatever and try to develop it into affordable housing. It's almost impossible. The only way that can be done is with land that's owned by the state of Michigan or the township that could be developed at cost and sold at cost. That's the only way that you're ever going to see affordable housing, unfortunately. Thank you.
Thank you. So that concludes the time for questions for the trustee candidates. The candidates will now be given 1 minute to make a closing statement in reverse order of opening statements, beginning with Mr. Jonathan Warshay, Mr. Jim Manna, and Mr. Deepak Digay. You may start.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters and everyone who came out and is watching this evening. I'm running again because I believe local government has the greatest impact on your lives, and I have the experience and the integrity to be able to serve you in that way. I've made a difference so far, and I want to continue making a difference. I've been endorsed by different groups on different sides because they know who I am. I told the realtors I was against short-term rentals. They endorsed me anyway. So I'll speak my mind, and the most important goal is to do the right thing to serve you. Thank you. Oh, and please vote for me on August the 6th.
Thank you. Mr. Manna.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters and for our residents for giving me this opportunity to speak tonight. It's been a tremendous honor. You have a very important decision to make on August 6th. I humbly request that you vote to re-elect Jim Manna for trustee. I want to be your choice. I care and love this community. I've called it home for decades. I care about senior citizens and planning on being one in 2 years. I plan on helping West Bloomfield continue to grow in population and continue to be one of the safest communities in Michigan. I want to continue promoting a harmonious relationship at Town Hall. I hope to see you on August 6th at the polls and for years to come. And God bless all the residents of West Bloomfield Township.
Thank you. Mr. Deepak Digay.
I thank the League of Women Voters for giving me this opportunity to express my views. I am running for this election because there are two things I found wrong with the current management and the Board of Trustees: nepotism and systemic racism. In 2020, I approached the Board of Trustees, exposed the management is practicing systemic racism. I managed to get them to change the hiring policy. Now we have 7 policemen of color. Guess what? And there are 3 firemen. They changed the policies. But the nepotism is still going on. It has to be addressed. If I'm elected with your support, my goal will be to serve you and reduce your taxes. I think we have an opportunity to reduce your taxes and not increase if the management is done right by law and by experts.
Thank you, candidates. That concludes our final forum for today. The League of Women Voters would like to thank the audience, the candidates, and Civic Center TV for making this forum possible. Rebroadcast times of this forum will be on the League of Women Voters website. The League of Women Voters is funded by contributions from concerned businesses and citizens. Our membership is open to men and women over the age of 16. Remember the vote on Tuesday, August 6th. It's late and people are ready to go. Yeah, it was okay. I just talked over. Yeah.